I'm going to get it out of the way real quick. My name is Charlie.
My name's DeeJay.
And my name is Sean.
We're the 3 a.m. podcast. We tell first and second hand scary stories.
And if you're listening, you're a 3 a.m.er.
Oh, Sean just gendered our listeners or whatever.
Get wrecked.
Labeled them.
And we're just a bunch of friends, including you. Not for real. Happy New Year. It's good to be back. How's everyone's holiday?
It was good. Like you guys already know, we tried to record 4 or 5 episodes and save up because I was in California and Portland for 2 weeks. DeeJay was in Hawaii for 2 weeks. Sean was down in
Arizona for 1 week.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
True.
I forgot how to do this.
Same. Like, this is weird. What are we even doing right now?
I don't know. So did y'all ask all your family members if they had good scary stories?
All the ones I saw, yeah.
And did you reap any rewards? Did you find some treasure?
Nope.
Okay. Neither did I, so.
No treasure.
How about you, Deej?
I asked a handful of people. Well, we were talking about my podcast came up in our podcast.
Oh!
Forgot this is mother.
That's how it's going to be.
His mother Russia. I forgot.
Oh, yeah. All of them, my.
Yeah, my bad. Or our bad.
Our bad.
Okay. So, my girlfriend brought up the podcast with some people, so we were talking about it in the group, and it was like one of her family get-togethers.
Mm-hmm.
So some people were saying that they had some scary stories and they'll send some in, but I ain't seen any yet. I ain't seen none yet.
Well, my story tonight comes from Seth.
Ooh.
Asking. He said this is how it is. He had his entire in-laws at his house. So his house was packed. Like all of his wife's sisters, brothers, kids, mom, like they were all there. And they all sat down for Thanksgiving dinner, and straight up, like the first thing he's like, yeah. Who has scary stories? And he went around and like asked everyone, and he said this was the best scary story from that night. So when I share it, that's where it comes from.
Cool. I'm excited.
Just doing the Lord's work, the most diligent 3 a.m. missionary out there.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever prank dial 911 when you were little?
No.
I did.
Me too.
Well, my dad taught me about 911, and then I called
Like
right after.
He's sitting there or what?
No, when he was gone. I wanted to see if it worked. And when they answered,
You didn't trust your dad?
I don't know.
I gotta find out for myself.
Just curious. When they answered, I hung up.
911, what's your emergency? Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a red flag for
them.
them.
I left them on red. So they sent somebody over.
Oh.
I mean, they're not just going to be like, oh, they hung up. They're good.
Yeah.
So they sent just one cop over. And my dad answered the door. And he had to explain, oh, I was just teaching my son about 911. So. I don't remember my dad being mad.
Well, your dad's
He was
pretty
more
chill.
just laughing. Yeah, he is super chill. He's just like, why you do that? And laughing at the same time. But
We did pull a fire alarm in a building one time, though.
Where was that at?
It was in Nashville, Tennessee.
What happened?
So once we pulled it, we're like, oh, we can't get this to go back up.
Who convinced who to pull it? Like how to go down?
I did not physically pull it. It was one of my siblings.
I did not have sexual relations.
But when we couldn't figure out how to put it back up, we left. And as we left, we saw fire engines coming.
Oh, no.
down the road.
have you ever heard that the water that they use in what's it called?
The fire
Like
hydrants?
the sprinkler
system?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is usually like smells so bad.
I've heard
Because
that.
it's stagnant and just sits inside.
It's been in there for years.
True.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never experienced it. I know someone who said they experienced it, who said it smelled like ass. So I have secondhand knowledge of that.
So there was this one time where we had the pipes burst in all of the fire extinguisher or whatevers that were going through the ceiling. Like those pipes. They froze overnight. and then burst, and then all of a sudden water was coming down through the building as well, and it did smell really bad.
Oh,
Yeah, recently my little brother went to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and he's 13. And I guess he was so tired that after he washed his hands, he forgot to turn it off, the faucet. So he goes back to bed, and my parents wake up in the morning to go to work. And they come out of their room, and they go downstairs, and it is raining on the first floor because everything flooded.
so it's
Like-
coming through the ceiling in the kitchen.
Yes.
Oh no!
They had to replace the flooring of the entire house.
Oh,
There are some rooms that weren't affected, but they were like, might as well. Like,
dang though.
If you're gonna
That's-
99 it, might as well just
yeah.
100 it.
Can't have like 2 rooms with cedar and the other mahogany.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's like middle class.
that's
fancy.
actually one of my pet peeves. Is when I walk into a room and there's different styles of wood for like a
Like a
table, a
dark wood,
chair,
soft wood.
the panels on the floor. It bugs me.
Noted.
You know what's a trend that needs to die? Is like inspirational quotes on your family room wall or something in your
Like
living
sticky?
room.
Like on the wall.
Like vinyl lettering where it's like, I love my
live, laugh, love. That's always
family.
that's always my like example.
Yeah.
Bro, we are in the heart, the mecca of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mormons love that stuff, bro. I've been into some houses and I'm like, good hell.
Bro, the other one that I hate is the established this year when they were married. So whenever they do a family established 1990, I'm like, that's so stupid. I hate you.
So you guys were just not existent before then, or
Yeah,
you're just mad because you're not married, dog. So we ain't exist.
Salty. ass.
married people.
My family just bought a brand new house here in Utah, and they're slowly furnishing it, and it's
Flex.
exciting. But my mom got a few frames of these words and quotes, and she was like, "Where should I put these?" I'm like, "Right back in the store where you found them."
La basura.
Oh.
That's sad. She's already changing. She's losing her island way, bro.
Yeah, but my dad came at me with, "When you buy your house, you can choose what you put inside it." I was like, "Frick."
Yeah, well, we both know that's not gonna happen.
You know, we millennials like experiences over things.
You know that none of us have. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into
We
it,
don't
bro.
have things.
Any New Year's anecdotes? I have one. You have some.
Oh, I have one.
Hawaii pops off for New Year, right?
You guys see the video I sent in
Yeah,
the group
dude.
chat? Hawaii is, I don't think people understand, like, how many fireworks are in Hawaii. It was my entire childhood and youth just blowing things up. One of my best friends in middle school, John Hansen, shout out. His dad was an avid gun collector, and they didn't hunt. They just like going to like the range and shooting. Only child. They had some money, and they also had a cannon. I'm talking like Civil War cannon.
It's like the same one that brought Captain Cook's ship down.
Yeah. Just kakamora, coconuts. But they had a cannon, and New Year's Eve, every hour, starting at like 6 o'clock, they set it off.
That's some
And
medieval
you,
shit.
you could hear it. They shoot it into the forest, dude. Boom! And it's so there's a shock.
you get, like-
there's a shockwave from it.
Cannonballs on Amazon or like how?
No, you go to the artillery store in town. Yeah, what?
Just Craigslist, the black market, the real dark web. But
What you slaying, cuz? Cannonballs, dog.
I'm a real arms dealer.
See how round this thing is?
Established 1776. No, but they would set this cannon off every hour, and I lived maybe a mile away, and I would hear it every hour. If you were there at their house, you could feel the shock wave from it, almost just a small like push
In
on
your
your
coconuts.
body. Yeah, and pictures would fall off their wall, car alarms would be set off. That's just my homie John Hansen.
Bro, Lord have mercy on anyone who works like night shifts in Hawaii near New Year's. Some
Yeah.
surgeon, some heart surgeon is like, let me sleep.
It's fun though. Before aerials were legal, and then when I was 17, I think they made it illegal, but we
But-
still got them.
Hawaiians were like, nah, bro.
Nah.
My dad's like Filipino workers would just supply us with all these fireworks, and they were the best.
Filipinos be like that, bro.
I know, dude. Just aerials and whatnot. There was one year where a cousin of mine, so everyone would hang out in the garage, and it was like a potluck. We had a lot of Chinese food, and everyone's just hanging out in the garage, eating, laughing, playing games, hanging out, while people are standing right outside, playing music and stuff. People were right outside of the garage, lighting fireworks, throwing them into the street. We would throw fireworks into the gutter because the volume
It
would
echoes.
amplify like ×5, and it was really fun. I don't know. One of my cousins thought an aerial was one of the regular fireworks.
Oh,
So
no.
he's standing close to the garage. You're supposed to put these aerials in a tube so it shoots up in the air. And we have like concrete blocks holding these tubes to anchor them down. These have 3 explosions. One to set it off into the air, and then 2 pops in the air.
Mm-hmm.
One of these boxes of 10 costs like $100. So you're burning money. That's what fireworks are. But he thought it was a regular firework. So he's like in the garage, like on the edge where everyone, like moms, aunties, grandmas are eating. All the boys are lighting things on fire. All my uncles and dads. And he lights it. And on the last second, we always wait to see how long we can hold on to it before we throw it.
That's a stupid game, bro.
Because like whether it's like a ground flower or like the crackling ones, we like to like hold it and at the last second throw it, and right when it leaves our hand, it's like zzz. I don't know. It's just what it is. But we were like, I saw him just at last second. I'm like, and his name's Kamalani. I'm like, Kamalani, that's an aerial. He looks at me, looks at the firework, and starts to throw it, and it goes off right as he lets it go. It goes off once, shoots straight back into the garage where everyone's eating, sitting down, playing. And you just hear boom, boom. And
They're all, Pearl Harbor.
a day that will live in infamy.
Oh, they're back.
December 31st. Like, I thought we made peace with y'all.
Yeah. Damn, did people get hurt?
Nobody got hurt, but we didn't know for the first bit because the entire garage was just filled with smoke. And we had to wait.
Ears are ringing.
Yeah.
Everybody who's not
Disoriented.
dead, sound
Everyone's
off.
flashbang.
Yeah. It's like Call of Duty with a concussion grenade.
Mom.
But no one was mad. Everyone was laughing, and it was the funniest thing. No one was mad because no one got hurt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
The second you're like, everyone good? And then just laugh.
Yeah. New Year's is a fun time, but I sent everybody in our friend group, in our group chat, just a video of New Year's Eve this past year, 2 days ago. Wild. People are on the freeway parked and like just 360 view,
Just
panning across
fireworks.
everywhere. Just aerials going off and just killing that ozone. You know what I'm talking about?
Let's make a goal. Next year, let's spend New Year's in Hawaii.
Cool.
We'll plan a live show strategically.
Mm.
That's dope, man.
I was just gonna say fireworks in general. It's funny. It's like one of those unnecessary carnal human desires. There's no reason why we should have them. In fact, reasons point that we should not. But it's like government sanctioned because even like old people who make laws are like, yeah, let's blow things up. Just one day a year.
We get
you
that.
know?
We get
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I get you. Just go buy some groceries.
And that's how the purge ends up getting started.
Yeah.
One day a year.
Fireworks. Purge.
It's funny how we have that, but it's fun.
That is odd.
When you were a kid, though,
When I was 14, I had the opportunity to go travel to Spain for 3 weeks unsupervised.
you shared this a little bit. You talked
Yeah.
about the castle.
I have I could do a whole ep This is also around the time that I allegedly used to take things, also known as stealing. So anyway, but I'm not going to go into that. What I will go into is we flew into northern Spain, which is known as Basque Country, also known for a lot of terrorist acts. Apparently, it's pretty hood in northern Spain. And we flew in and landed New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve. So like around 12 a.m. on New Year's Day. And as we're landing, legitimate bombs are going off in the city. Like terrorist bombs, but also like celebration bombs.
A little bit of both.
It was so crazy. We were looking out the window and it was just like things were like blowing up like way bigger than I'd ever seen in California because we're allowed to have like a sparkler. California, you can't have any aerials. You can't have anything, bro. It sucks. But so yeah, I'm
It's so dry there. So
I know when you're talking about baby with the water running, I was like, my California heart was just like, damn, we need that water. But so yeah, we're looking out the plane window, just watching these crazy explosions in northern Spain, and then the next day, the airport that we landed in, someone bombed that airport. So like that airport I landed in had a terrorist bomb go off the next day. So it's just wild. That's like my wildest New Year's experience.
it's really common in Hawaii because Asian culture is big, especially the Chinese culture. So the Chinese believe that, and I think they might have been the ones who made fireworks famous. I mean, all the factories are there, right?
If like anime taught me anything, the Chinese made gunpowder. They were using it for like pretty explosions, and then the Europeans were like, if you point this shit at other humans, you might be able to conquer half the world.
But
I don't know if that's factual, but that's my
it is. Chinese believe that loud noises scare evil spirits away. So on New Year's Eve, a lot of the old people would hang out in the house because it was hard to breathe outside. And they'd have their own little thing inside, have the food, and just hang out with all the other old folks.
Just comfort.
Yeah, just be comfortable.
Yeah.
Reminisce on how they used to do what we were doing on the outside. But when New Year's Eve hits, even they inside are like banging pots and pans, and that's like a way of celebrating too, and like making noise to scare off evil spirits and welcome in the new year with good ones.
Interesting.
So it's like the more like rowdy and loud you can be, the better.
I knew there's a reason. I knew there's a reason we're so rowdy.
Yeah. And
So that one dickhead that told us to be quiet a couple of years ago.
I was about
on
to
New
tell that
Year's.
story, dog.
go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So, as you all know, it's the new year, and with New Year comes New Year's resolutions. And about 4 years ago, when I was still living with Sean, DeeJay, Jordan, and Sean, DeeJay, yep, that's it. When I was still living with the guys in an apartment, I had decided that I wanted to make a resolution to watch the words I say. So I was going to try to use less profanity. Because if you know me on a personal level, you know that sometimes it's like every other word. And it gets a little out of hand. So I told the guys, I come to this conclusion. I was pretty serious about it, and I shared it with them. And I was like, you know what? I'm really going to try this year. And I just want to be more mindful and try to be less quick to anger and things like that. They're like, damn, that's cool, bro.
I remember that. We like sat in a circle before the New Year's hit, and we were like, what's everybody going to try work on next year? And we all went in a circle, said our piece, and that was Charles's.
And I wiped the tears from my eyes because I was just so genuine. And then we went outside and we looked at the clock and counted down as it reached 12 a.m. And we just started yelling and celebrating. I think we had poppers and stuff. And we're just joyous. I think we put a firework down a manhole, which might be illegal, but for the same reason, because it echoes.
Yeah.
So allegedly we did that. Anyway, and as we're yelling and celebrating, and I'm just thinking about my newfound resolution to be better, someone opens the window of their apartment and goes, "Hey, shut up!" And without missing a beat, I turn out and say, "Shut the f*** up!" So it's 12:01 a.m. and I was like, "Dang it! Damn it! I failed. I'm done."
I'm crying.
And if I were legitimately Japanese, I would just take my own life right there. Yeah, so I was like, okay, that next year.
Oh, I don't know anyone who's failed a resolution faster.
Yeah, it was like it was
It
like
wasn't
12.
even 12:01.
It was seconds after we started.
We're yelling like "Happy New Year," lighting like all the fireworks at one time, as many as possible, and just hear somebody's window open. Shut up! Shut the fuck up! That's so funny. Yeah. I love New Year's. Welcome back, guys. Should we? What?
Question time. Question.
My question is: should we just get into our stories?
Let's roll.
Yeah. 3.
DJ's 3. I'm 13.
17.
So I win.
So Sean, Charles, then me,
DJ.
DJ.
All right, guys. I got a story for you today. Have either of you heard of the Hope Diamond?
Yes.
Okay, now before I get into the story, we've talked about this before in previous episodes, but do you believe, and how much do you believe, that items can be cursed?
I think anything can have power if you give it power.
I legitimately think it is possible
Okay,
to have a cursed item.
it's possible.
I think it's entirely possible.
Okay. So now, real quick though, what do you know about the Hope Diamond?
Okay, I maybe don't know. I thought it was like the biggest diamond or like the 2-carat diamond or whatever that's like on display somewhere. Almost got robbed, but I don't know.
I mean, a lot of similarities, yeah.
Okay.
So the Hope Diamond is 42.5 carat diamond.
Yeah, so what I said.
Yeah. It's on display in the Smithsonian. So also what you said. It's also allegedly one of the most cursed items in history.
Actually, I think I have heard this. Keep going, though.
Okay. So the way that it goes is the Hope Diamond or the Tavernier Diamond or the French Blue brings bad luck and death to the people who own it. So starting around mid 1600s, there was a French merchant who got into the diamond market as it started blowing up, and he made several trips over to India to get diamonds and bring them back and then sell them to the royalty and anyone who had enough money to buy diamonds, right? So on one of these trips, he comes across at this point, it gets called the Tavernier Diamond because that's his name, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. And there are people who believe that he purchased this diamond off of some of the people living there. And there are people who believe he stole the diamond.
Sorry, what region did he obtain it from?
India.
Okay.
Now, either way, there are a lot of people who believe that this diamond was stolen from an Indian statue within an Indian temple.
Bro, is this Indiana Jones 2? Temple of Doom?
I'm not saying
Temple of the Crystal Skull.
I'm not saying it's not.
So he's like, and then there was a small Chinese boy named Data.
But it could be. I don't know.
Huh.
So there are a lot of people who believe it was stolen from that temple. And part of this comes from actually a story that this guy wrote. Kind of in his journals, he wrote like a story about a thief that steals a diamond from a temple. And before he escapes the temple, is caught by the gods and punished and killed. So a lot of people believe that that was kind of like his confession that he'd written in his journal or whatever. So once he brings it back and at this point, it's like 68 carats. So it's huge. It's this huge blue diamond.
You know how roughly, like a side, like
I
a
was gonna say,
comparison?
It's about the size of a golf ball or like an egg. Yeah, something like that.
So not very big. I mean, that's big. But I was assuming like a rugby ball.
No. So with that being said, he brings it back to France and he sells it to King Louis XIV. Now, King Louis XIV has it cut down a little bit to be shaped more like, because it's kind of just a rock at this point.
It's like unrefined.
Yeah. So he has that done. And Tavernier is one of the first people that runs into bad luck because of this diamond. is he's eventually banished from France because of religious reasons, and King Louis is trying to kind of make it more Catholic, right?
Uh-huh.
And is that a picture of it?
I feel like that was in Titanic, bro.
Dude, it might be, bro.
Is this the diamond they have in Oceans? The one with all the girls? The one that they steal from the Met Gala?
Ooh, maybe. I don't know.
Either or.
Either or.
King Louis?
Yeah, he banished it, or Tavernier eventually gets kicked out of France, and the way that he supposedly met his end was being attacked by wild dogs on his way to Turkey. At this point, he was living in Moscow, going down to Turkey. They brought his body back and buried him in Moscow. But then King Louis, 4 out of his 5 children ended up dying as children. And he ends up dying of gangrene, which was a rough way to go back. Anytime.
Yeah.
So he meets his end, passes it on to King Louis the 15th, King Louis the 16th, and King Louis the 16th is married to Marie Antoinette.
Hmm.
And if anyone's familiar with the French Revolution,
Is that? Oh.
they both get beheaded in the French Revolution. And it was said that King Louis the 16th would actually let Marie Antoinette wear the diamond around her neck. They both met that end. So after that happened, it was looted from French royalty, kind of dropped off the map for a little bit, eventually pops back up in England. I can't remember who it was with, but he basically squanders the fortune of King of England and gets fat, and he gets cataracts in his eyes, so he can't see, eventually dies of like internal bleeding. And he's basically squandered their fortune, so the children sell the diamond. And it ends up in the hands of a diamond salesman named Wilhelm Falls, and his son murders him, steals the diamond, and then dies. It ends up in the hands of another diamond merchant or salesman who him and his wife and his kid end up driving off of a cliff. It ends up in the hands of I forgot the body count. I don't know what the body count is now, but it ends up in the hands of, it was Sultan Abdul Hamid II, who was known as Abdul the Damned. So in his possession, this diamond, he ends up going through these revolutions and all this stuff happens, and eventually the fall of their kingdom there.
And they all attributed it to this diamond.
They all attributed it to the diamond. And they say that either people who own it or come in contact with it are cursed. It ends up in the hands of the Hope family. That's why it's named the Hope Diamond. It was in their family for a long time. He ends up dying. It gets into the hands of another diamond salesman whose name was Pierre Cartier.
Oh.
And he's kind of the one who put this story together. And when he sells it to someone in the US, he put a 6-month return policy on it, saying if any misfortune comes on you in the next 6 months, you can return it for equal value.
So this guy understood.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Pierre Cartier?
Did they call him Cardi P?
I hope so. So he sells it to the McLean family, and they're the owners of the Washington Post, and it's basically owned by Evelyn McLean. And she actually at one point took this diamond to be exorcised. And the way the story goes is that when she took it to the church to be exorcised, they were doing whatever it is that they do in exorcisms. And on this clear, sunny day, these clouds appeared out of nowhere above this church, like dark storm clouds. And once they finished with it, they kind of went away. Now, that did not stop her child from being in a car accident and dying. And then her husband leaving her for another woman. Eventually, and she's to the very end said she did not believe in the curse, even though they took it to be exorcised.
Conflicting. Okay.
Conflicting story. But That's what she said. Eventually sells it again to another person who is one of the only people that really was never cursed by the diamond. His name was Harry Winston. And all that he would do with it is he would take it around to shows and let people see the diamond.
He's like, everyone touch it.
Oh, no, he wouldn't let them touch it, but he would donate all of the proceeds to charity. And then eventually he's like, F it, I'm going to sell it to the he gave it to the Smithsonian. He's just like, you guys have it. He didn't even care.
Wow.
But then he basically put it in a U.S. postage or U.S. Postal Service and sent it. And the postal worker that took it to the Smithsonian apparently had his house burned down right after. And he lost his wife the next year. It's just like the wildest story.
None of this sounds real.
It's all real.
It's all like historically.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And now it sits in the Smithsonian, meaning technically it's owned by all of us.
We paid taxes on that.
All of us are cursed. That's what it is, bro.
That's what it is.
We figured we got to take that diamond back to India, dog.
I was reading
Destroy it from whence it came.
just throw it back into the fire.
It's sealed up. Cast it into the fire.
No.
I like all of that I was with until that one husband was like, oh, damn, I cheated because the diamond. You know what I'm saying?
No,
He's like, I swear, babe.
I freaking love you. Yeah. It's the diamond.
It's the diamond.
I was reading a ton of articles about it and then ended up getting caught up in the comments of these articles. And there were some pretty funny ones. There was one guy, he said, I'm going to give this diamond to you, honey. This is the greatest thing I could give you. And then I'm going to leave you for another woman. And then there was one that said, let's take it back to India. Maybe that'll solve it.
Have you seen a movie? That's how you solve this.
Any movie ever.
It's not hard, dog.
Put it back where you found it.
Yeah.
The old adage.
Yeah.
There you go.
Told by all parents.
Yeah. There's truth to it.
But like that was the wildest like series of people just getting screwed from owning a diamond.
Here's the thing. There's other diamonds.
True. But it was wild like hearing it. And I think too that a lot of the personalities of the people who owned this diamond probably would have met the same fate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like at some point you're just attributing bad things to the diamond because like everyone has stuff go on and I can't just be like, damn, this is because at one time I winked at a witch doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it all goes back to the one fool, Cartier, who like got the history of all these things happening. And like, I think he did it to make it sound even crazier.
That was my thought. If it's like, yo, I have this diamond that everyone wants.
If it has
a
story.
I'm going to tell everyone it's haunted AF. So one, it becomes more renowned. And two, they ain't trying to steal it because it's hella cursed.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
Yeah, that's just marketing, dog.
Yeah. Also, back then, everyone was dying from gangrene.
Yeah, everyone was dying from everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
those pack of dogs,
I
though.
cough on somebody and they die in 5 minutes.
bro,
dude.
I heard if you listen to a whole episode of 3 a.m., you bleed out your ears and die.
Bro, I heard if you listen to a whole episode of 3 a.m., you win the lottery.
Oh, damn.
Dude, I heard that if you don't listen to the whole episode of 3 a.m., your pee-pee will become inverted or you will sprout one.
Your pee-pee become a VV. We're children. All right.
2020.
On one last note, something I thought was super creepy is scientists decided they were going to examine it, and they did some tests on it. And one of those tests was they exposed the diamond to ultraviolet light.
Violet or violent?
Ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet?
Ultraviolet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You keep saying violent. Like some angry ass light.
Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet.
This light's aggressive.
Bro, your light's ultraviolet, dog. Turn that down. Sorry.
And then they turned off the lights, and instead of glowing blue or green like normal blue diamonds apparently glow green, it glowed a bright red. And that's like hella creepy too. Like definitely haunted. Like forget what I said about these
take
people.
it back, dog.
Yeah,
It's haunted.
It's cursed.
That's legit. That's weird. When I was little, I was hella obsessed with the tomb of Tutankhamun.
Oh yeah, dude.
King Tut's
Hella
tomb.
cursed, bro.
And like apparently, yeah, mad people involved in the the evacuation site. What's that word?
Excavation.
Excavation. Hell of those mofos died. I'm always like interested when you hear about like movie sets that are cursed. So like The Exorcism, the original Exorcist.
Right. The one girl.
That
like,
movie set, like people died who were involved in the production.
Didn't they say like
Hella
somebody
accidents
hung
happen.
themselves, and you could actually see that in one of the scenes?
I think that's in Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, that's
yes,
right,
Wizard
dude.
of Oz. What about the Passion of the Christ?
I heard wild stuff
Mel
happen.
Gibson.
What's the
Well,
wildest
he's
thing?
the director, but like the dude who was playing Christ while he was on the cross during set got struck by lightning
Damn.
and survived.
God's like, mock
If
my
that's-
son, dog.
Yeah, if that's not a warning, I don't know what is.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
I know we're like halfway through making this movie, but I'm done. I stop at lightning strike, so
That's my limit.
Get that lightning insurance, maybe.
Got to put that in the contract.
the girl who played the little possessed girl in Exorcism, she almost broke her back because she was hooked up. So like all of the effects in that movie, there's like no CGI, right? So they had to figure out practical ways to create these effects. And one of the effects is her being like, I don't know how to explain it. She's lying down and she sits up really fast in her bed. So she's like boom, 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 like that, right?
Right.
And so they had her
I ain't seen it.
they had her strapped to a board, like a plank up her back that would like jolt her forward to sitting up and then pull her back, throw her back to lying down. And as they were doing that, it's like really violent and fast. The straps came undone and the metal board just like was smacking the hell out of her back and almost paralyzed her.
Damn.
That's just like one accident of a whole laundry list.
Why didn't they like put some pad on that shit or something?
Bro, it was like 1970s. They had no science.
pads.
Or use like a doll.
She's also a child, dude. Like she was 13 or something when they filmed
Yeah,
it.
why didn't they use a doll? Anyway, what said is done.
What's done is said.
In Chris.
You trying to be smooth right there?
What's the actual phrase? I can't
What's
think.
done is done.
What's done? What said is done. Damn. This is the first mistake of 2020. Feels bad, man.
Yeah. So other curse things, that's cool. We should like look. That'd be cool to cover some things like that.
Yeah. Damn, this year sucks.
Next year, that'll be my year.
Yeah. 2021 is gonna be my year. That was dope.
All right, so I'm up. Like I said, this story comes to us from Seth, and this happened to Seth's sister-in-law when she was 11. So Seth's sister-in-law and her brother were home alone. Their parents were out of town. But her brother was 18, so they were like, everything's fine. You know, he's going to watch the house. So parents are out of town. She's 11. He's 18, and he has 3 friends over to hang out. And they often came over and spent the night and hung out when the parents were out of town. And so she did her own thing. She hung out downstairs while they were all upstairs. And she's downstairs. She's watching TV. She stays up late, you know, enjoying herself. And she falls asleep on the couch. After a while, she wakes up. And the whole house is dark and it's quiet. So she looks in the kitchen at the clock and sees that it's past 12. It's like 12:17. She's like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs and go to sleep. So she gets up and she walks up the stairs. And the layout is at the very top of the stairs, directly to the right, is the brother's room and his door's shut. And there's a long hallway down. At the end, the hallway splits and on the left is the parents and on the right is her room.
Mm-hmm.
And right outside of her door, there is one small nightlight. So it's almost completely pitch black, but she can barely see a glow down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she's tired. I mean, she's 11, so she's probably a little scared just running up the stairs. She gets in the hall, and she gets halfway down the hall towards her room when she gets a feeling. And she described it. She said, it was almost like I heard something, but I didn't hear anything. And she feels someone staring at her from behind. So she stops And she turns to look back down the hall towards her brother's room. And there's now a black outline, a figure standing outside her brother's door staring at her. And she's staring at it. She said it was so dark she couldn't tell who it was, but she could tell that it was a male. She knew it wasn't her brother because her brother's pretty short and this figure was tall. So she assumed it was one of her brother's friends. Either way, she didn't feel good. So in the 3 seconds they're staring at each other, the figure takes a quick step towards her.
Oh.
She turns around and sprints to her room. So she runs to her room, and luckily her door has a lock on it. So the second she gets in, click, she locks it, jumps in her bed, pulls the covers up, but doesn't cover her face. So from her bed, she can see under her door, and there's one strip of dim light.
From the nightlight.
And as she's staring at that light, she sees a figure step in front of the light, standing at her door. And in her mind, she said, "This is how I die." And she fully expected for the figure to try and get in her room. And just as that feeling kind of mounts, her brother coughs from his room. Like a very loud cough at the other end of the hall. And as he coughs, the figure leaves. So she lies in bed all night, terrified. Doesn't know what to do. Super unsettled. And every scenario she plays out in her head, there's still no real reason, innocent reason, for that interaction in her mind. Until finally she falls asleep into a restless sleep. And then next morning...
That's always how it happens. Like after something traumatizing like a nightmare or even like an experience like that, I feel like you knock out super hard. Either you stay awake all night or you just...
It zonks you.
Yeah, you're down for the count.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in her case, she didn't really get a good night's sleep. So next morning, she goes downstairs. Her brother's like eating cereal or something. And she's pretty upset. She's like, "Hey, I don't know if you guys were playing a joke, but that wasn't cool." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I don't, whatever one of your friends like chased me in the hall last night, I didn't like that. Don't do that again." He becomes really concerned. And he's like, "Who chased you?" She's like, "I don't know. I couldn't see. It was dark." She's like, "Well, when did it happen?" She said, "It was like 12:30 when I went upstairs." And he goes, "All of my friends left at 10. None of them stayed the night." And so he became super concerned, asked her a ton of questions. She told him everything. And he's like, "You sure you weren't dreaming?" She's like, "I'm positive. Like, I stayed up in my bed for 2 more hours because I was so scared." He obviously calls all 3 of his friends, which all denied, like to the death, that it wasn't them. And they never found out who was in the hallway with her that night. And in my mind, like either way is creepy. Because one way, one of her brother's friends, who was around 18, stayed in the house until everyone was asleep to wait to like interact with her or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or it was a ghost, which would be terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was a stranger,
Mm-hmm.
which would be terrifying.
All scary.
Hmm.
I can't think of like any other options. Like that's all there is.
And then if it was one of her brother's friends, that's even more scary because like he remained friends with them forever with not knowing like who it was.
And you don't know if he did it again.
Oh. Anyway, she had never told anyone this story, and Seth was like, "What? Like, how have you not told anyone?" Like, I don't think they told their parents like this story. And she was like, "Yeah, I just like never thought about it. But when you were asking it, like, I remembered that experience." And I don't know. That to me, like interactions like that are almost the scariest thing to me. Is like real life interactions between real human beings with potentially malintent.
There was definitely malintent.
I mean, at the most innocent, you were just wanting to scare a little girl, which is a little creepy. And we all know what's at like the most, you know.
I love the illustration of her in bed and watching, like, everyone knows the light under the door, the little crack. You just see the shadows of the 2 feet.
And every time you pray, I don't see those shadows. And 99.9% of the time, you don't see shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And in her case, yeah. someone stepped in front of the. Oh gosh,
See, that's why you don't want night lights, so that you don't see
I prefer to
whatever
see,
it
bro.
is.
I prefer to witness.
Being trapped inside somewhere with something, it's like the worst. Like I'd rather be out in like a open field or something where I can see everything, or just anywhere where I could have like a vantage point and be aware of what's around.
I don't know why this story is so triggering for me. It like hits all my check boxes of like a scary thing.
Hmm.
Just like being watched, being alone with someone like planning that interaction or like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always 10 times scarier when you don't know what you're dealing with. She could never make out like who he was or what he was.
There's no closure for her.
Yeah. It's like that creep was probably just around you after that, you know?
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see a fact recently about, actually it's in a book I'm reading right now, but you can attribute most, they speculate you can attribute most paranormal activity to wood expanding and compressing. And so when the wood heats up during the day, as opposed to when it's starting to settle at night, and some of those sounds can sound like a person moving around in the room, stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. It's like I've heard that before, but there's apparently some study where they actually like quantified that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's why like old houses like
Settling.
groan and like make noises. But that would make sense to me.
That was hella
Oh.
random, but it was just a thought I
No,
had.
no, you're good. You're good. I have one about an old house.
Ooh.
Can I share 2 stories?
I guess.
The first one comes from Pleasant Grove, Utah.
PG.
So this made it to the papers. Not sure if it made it to the live news outlet, to TV, but I have the article that details this, and I was reading through it. This investigation started. So this is about a house in Pleasant Grove, Utah. It's a small town. And Pleasant Grove is right up against the mountain for people who aren't from Utah. And that whole valley, and in fact, that's where, like, we lived in Provo. We've talked about that before. And Provo and Pleasant Grove are about 15 minutes away from each other on the freeway. So it's all up on the mountain. Really pretty there. And during the school year, kids would walk home to and from school, and a group of kids noticed that this home had overgrown grass and started to look old and untouched. And for the most part, people aren't paying attention until these group of kids noticed that chained to a pole was a dead dog,
Oh, that's messed up.
already decomposed into a skeleton.
So it's been there for a while.
Been there for a while. So the kids get some authority and cops come by to check it out. And they knock on the door. There's no answer. They turn the door handle. It's locked. They walk around the perimeter and all entrances are locked. So they get the authorization to enter into the house. I don't know if it was that same day or sometime later, but they end up breaking through the door and entering into the house. And they're searching through. Everything is old and dusty. At one point, they come across a room, and in the room on the table are the makings of a bunch of different bombs.
What?
So when they find that, they take some precautions and step out. They call a special team to come in because just in case the house is booby trapped or if they're dealing with live explosives, they just want a team that can handle that.
Yeah.
So they get that team to go in and they're searching through. Thankfully, fortunately, there are no booby traps, but they do come across a dead body. And they come to find out that this dead body is the owner of the house. It's an old man. And this old man, after taking the body out, running whatever, forensics or an autopsy and whatever else they needed to do, this man has been dead for 1 year. And it's funny because, I mean, the whole house smelled like death. So I'm not sure if that.
What's the funny part about that?
Sorry,
It's hilarious because he's dead.
well, I'm wondering if the people who first went in were thinking, if there's a dead body inside the house.
I wonder at what point it stopped smelling. Because I feel like, decomposition, let's say over 100 years, it probably wouldn't smell.
Yeah.
So, like, where's that threshold? I have no idea.
I think within a year, if it was untreated, it would still smell terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
By that point, taken over by rats and
Yeah.
bugs and obviously the dog died because the man was dead and couldn't tend to his dog who was chained, which is really sad to think about.
Okay.
That's
it
the
was
real
chained
victim.
up like it was on a leash.
Yeah.
When you said chained up, I thought you meant
Like
it was
bondage and stuff?
chained up to like the pole of something. I was like, why would you do that?
Like burning at the stake kind of.
That's what I envisioned.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Just B2K'd out there?
Yeah. So they take this body, they try to find relatives or friends. This man had none.
Dang.
So that's why nobody was around to check on him. That's why his body laid there for a year.
I don't think, like, Pleasant Grove isn't rural enough for, like, that to not go. You know what I mean? Like, he had neighbors, right?
Mhm.
That's creepy. It's
That is
not some
kinda creepy.
farmhouse, like, miles away from everyone.
True. But it's funny because my girlfriend is from American Fork, and she told me in high school, like, what the demographic or the stigma was for each high school in surrounding
Ah.
towns. So, like, Alpine is, like, the really rich district.
I'd agree with that.
And at one point, they were really well known a few years ago for having, like, the most suicides in their high school in the nation for that year.
Alpine?
Yeah, Alpine.
Well,
Lone
damn.
Peak High School in Alpine.
Yikes.
The school that she went to, American Fork High, was famous for, like, everybody knew American Fork High as, like, the most teen pregnancies. And Pleasant Grove, she said, is where, like, all the druggy and crony kids were at. So, which kind of surprised me because Pleasant Grove isn't ghetto. At least I haven't been in parts of Pleasant Grove that were super ghetto. But when she said that and I just put this story together, I don't know. There probably are ghetto parts. And if there are neighbors, maybe they're lower income or I don't know. They did show the picture of the house and it had like tall grass and it was very unkept, which makes sense. But I don't know. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, like, I could see that being the druggy part compared to their high schools, but if you put that like next to a high school in Hawaii
I was
or
gonna say,
Phoenix
if
or
you and I hear that
California,
it's a druggy part of Utah, it's like, that's like middle class in Visalia where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? I hella scoff when Utah try to tell me, when people from Utah try to tell me like, yo, there are parts of Utah that are dangerous, bro. I'm like, eat a dick. Not compared to California. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
West Valley can get pretty bad.
I feel
I have some family from West Valley, and they talked about how growing up they would hear gunshots outside of their apartment building.
okay.
So that sounds normal to what I grew up with.
Yeah.
Like the town where my high school was is like where all the Section 8 housing and all the projects are, and there's a lot of violence and gangs and drugs and whatnot. But
I'm also not saying like prove it to me that Utah's hard because I know there's hard people here. I'm just saying like, let's be honest. The majority of Utah, I walk around with zero fear.
yeah, I haven't been scared once while I've been in Utah. While I've been in Utah, which is a good thing.
And there's legitimately sections in my hometown where I tell people do not go.
Yeah.
I had a friend whose older brother was stabbed to death for wearing a red hoodie. Like that's the crime that he committed to die. Like that's what could take your life.
Yeah. And it's
Pleasant Grove is not one of those places.
it's funny because like being from Hawaii, which is pretty ghetto, I didn't realize that till I moved here, and then I went back for like my first Christmas, and I was like, oh freak, like Hawaii's pretty behind on the times, and I think it's funny when people who come from like ghetto places kind of like are proud about like how ghetto they are. It's like
They
bro,
try to out ghetto each other.
yeah, yeah. It's just like, bro, Utah ain't ghetto. We're ghetto because of A and B and whatnot, and it doesn't matter because
You're right.
I
So
mean,
I'm gonna be quiet.
having
Still,
having
it's
nice
still ghetto.
having a nice neighborhood here, that's the ideal. Like, I mean, hopefully.
It's like, you mad that Utah's safe?
Yeah. This isn't the end of this story.
Oh,
So this
okay.
is what made the papers, what I just shared. We have a listener. Her name is Olivia. Thank you, Olivia, for sending in this story.
Shouts.
But Olivia visited this house after all of this made the news, and it was still there, abandoned, it was open. And she, her boyfriend, and 2 of her friends, 4 of them in total, went to go check this house out. So they're all excited. We've been in that situation before, checking out abandoned places. I know exactly what that's like. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
They walk in, and apparently hazmat or whatever didn't take care of the house, didn't do anything besides take the body out.
So everything's there.
The bomb
Everything is still
materials.
there. Oh, I'm sure they took that out too, but like they didn't like clean the house or really strip it down. I wasn't sure what they were planning to do with the house because I think at this point the house isn't there. So I think at some point,
Okay.
yeah, the government, because he had no family and or friends, they tore it down or something. But they were able to go before this was torn down. So they walk inside the house, and immediately the smell of death was just straight up in their face. And it smells terrible. They can barely handle it, but they decide to press through because they want to see, what they could find.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really find too much besides everything's old and dusty. And they do find a huge stain on the carpet in the room. I think it's the living room, she said. And they think that that's where his body was decomposing.
Oh,
Because that's where the smell was the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that.
Yeah. So that was really terrible. They go upstairs. They go into the basement. They don't find too much. When they're finishing up and they're back on the main floor, they're just kind of hanging out, looking through the last couple things, and they're just about ready to leave when she's standing at the top of the stairs of the basement, and she first hears running footsteps
Oh, nope.
and turns as she hears and sees as something is running up the stairs towards her.
Oh, fuck that. Get the fuck out.
So she yells at her friends, "We need to get the hell out of here." And they bolt out the door and don't look back, and they never go back to the house.
Ew.
It was running up the stairs.
Running up the stairs towards
I
her.
got the high ground.
Did she see anything?
She saw a figure, like a
Did anyone
outline,
else
like
see
a
it?
shadow.
She hadn't gone down in the basement yet, though, right?
I think they already
I think they had just come up, from
which
the
makes
basement.
it creepier
Oh,
because they
whatever it
were,
was down there.
they were with it, or like if it was some if it was like
Apparition.
some ghost or apparition, it was like it came afterwards, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, having something there with you, scary.
Yeah.
Not having something there with you,
And then having something there with you.
scary. It's like, either way, you're messed up. But
Oh,
that was
damn.
her experience in the house in Pleasant Grove.
I take what I said back. Pleasant Grove is pretty ghetto.
I would,
I stand firm.
in one of our previous episodes, we talked about fight, flight, freeze.
Submit.
I'd like to think that I would kick that thing straight in the chest as soon as it got close to me, send it back down to the basement from when it came.
Just Spartan kick it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the first thing
exactly.
that came on my mind.
This
Was
is not okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It is not okay.
yeah, running upstairs. Who does that?
Yeah, but glad Olivia was able to
Survive.
survive and send that story into us, because the content. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, shouts out Olivia. All right, I have my second story. Second story comes from a couple, Christy and Kenneth Manzanares. And they are from the Beehive State, which is Utah.
Oh, damn, bro.
So I got 2 Utah hitters for you. It doesn't take place in Utah. They embark on a trip to Seattle. And from Seattle, they get on a cruise ship, the Emerald Princess, that is set to sail to Juneau, Alaska. And you've been on a...
Nope.
You've been in Alaska, though.
Yep.
Pretty.
The best.
It's pretty.
You didn't go to
alright.
Juneau, though.
Nah. Anchorage.
Anchorage, super beautiful.
Anchorage, Alaska makes Portland look dry and tame, which is not the case.
Yeah, which is funny because the whole city of Portland is nestled in a forest.
It's literally a rainforest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? Like, it's insane. Next level.
I would agree.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to cut straight to the climax of this story.
No foreplay.
Straight in. So, Kenneth murders his wife.
What the
What?
Murders his wife in the cabin that they are staying in. Blood is splattered all over the cabin, floors, walls, ceiling, everywhere. While she's getting murdered, she is screaming for her life. These screams are heard by many people on the cruise ship, including the people right next to them. While she's getting murdered, nobody bats an eye.
What?
And this whole thing continues on for a decent amount of time. Nobody calls, nobody checks. Nobody, seriously, nobody bats an eye. The way that he gets caught is he grabs his wife's body, starts dragging it, opens the door to the balcony of the cruise ship, and starts to throw her body over the balcony into the ocean. He doesn't notice that the next balcony over is somebody watching this thing go down. At that point, this person grabs Kenneth's wife by the ankles and pulls her over to his side.
What?
Into his balcony, and then alerts the officials. Does this sound weird?
Yes.
How does this happen? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, hold on.
Whoa,
I didn't
whoa,
realize I
whoa.
was solving something, dog. Hold on, give me a second.
So, like, how did she get murdered, or like, what
What's
is that
going
question?
on?
Why
Yeah.
did it all play out like this?
Why did it all play out like this?
What's weird about this to you?
The fact that no one said anything in the first place.
people heard these screams.
Give me a second. I can crack the case.
People heard the screams. Were they like joyful screams at first, or like
Nope. Bloody murder.
bloody
screams.
murder screams the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
I want so hard to solve this mystery.
I know you do.
So the mystery is why no one said anything.
Like, why did this happen? Why is it weird? What's actually happening? What's really going on?
Yeah.
What's really going on?
So it's a murder mystery cruise.
You're right.
Oh, what?
I am the best, dog. I swear. FBI, hit
That's
me
kind
up.
of
Hit your
amazing.
boy up. Hold on, I'm not done. There's more to the story.
So there's murder mystery cruises that go to Juneau, Alaska.
And he actually murdered his wife.
No, you're exactly on the right track. This cruise was taking part in a murder mystery, and there were 3,400 passengers.
3,400 passengers, all in the same murder mystery.
Huge cruise.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's
This
do
man
this.
killing his wife.
But like straight up, no murdering each other, okay, guys?
They at least
Pinky
kept
promise.
the
Yeah.
buddy system.
Bro, you better swear to me.
Swear your life.
Okay, so murder mystery cruise.
Okay, so
All of the
That
neighbors,
explains.
the people staying next to them, thought that it was
part,
part of the
mi-
plot.
They're
Part of the
hella
game.
committed to this.
Yes, they were. Until he sees a body being dragged out, and he grabs it and then alerts officials.
That's crazy.
Apparently, he tried, when I say he, Kenneth, the husband, the murderer, tried to jump off of the balcony
Himself?
himself to, I guess, commit suicide and end it before he got caught. But he got caught. And I don't have much else to this story.
I'm curious if he was planning on doing that the whole time.
I think so.
What were you about to say? Are you about to like surmise it or
No, I
something?
was just gonna say I don't have much else to this story. I just want to capitalize on the fact that people heard somebody getting murdered and didn't do anything about it, and it wasn't their fault because of the context they were in.
I thought it
Mhm.
was just like super hardcore diffusion of responsibility, which can happen in crowds. Like there's studies on it. If you're in a crowd of more than 8 people, you feel like someone else will step up and take care of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
which has happened, which does happen. So I thought that it was just like a weird extreme case of that.
Mhm.
But nope, it's just people being like, damn, like let me sleep. The mystery can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. But
Yeah, do you think he booked that cruise
because he was
with the
planning on
intent to
killing
kill?
her.
or he just like snapped, she ate his Cheetos or something and he just
I
went
bet
wild.
he did. I bet this was a slow burn. This is something that's been stewing in him for a long time.
He was planning on killing her and dumping the body.
And then he decided, oh, let's go on this cruise ship because that's the perfect place for me to.
True, but
Get
if he
rid of
was planning on doing that, you'd think he'd have been able to do it with less sound happening.
Dude, murder itself is extra. Murdering someone on a murder mystery cruise is extra. Dude, oh my,
Dude, you're a level 100 murderer.
what a nerd, bro.
Except he's
Oh
a
my
level
gosh.
1 because he got caught. So
So
Not that
not that that's a
not that you should no, I know what you're saying. That's hilarious.
and also terrible. We're sorry.
I meant hilarious that I solved it.
I know. I was
not that the woman
slightly
died.
disappointed, but so stoked for you at the same time.
One of our favorite games to play while growing up, and this is with my cousins from Las Vegas, Seth and his family, was a game called Crack the Case. So it's this box, and straight up we should buy it and play it. But it's this box with like 200 cards in it. And if I'm the moderator, I read about how someone died. And then from there, you guys are allowed to ask yes or no questions. And the first one to solve how the person died wins.
What's it called?
Crack the case. I was pretty good at it growing up.
Yeah.
So when you were talking just now, I was like, I can do this.
Me-
I was like 8 and we were playing in a room of like 20 of my parents, aunts and uncles, and older cousins. I'm 8. They're all way older than me. And we're all playing Crack the Case. And they read the card. And as an 8-year-old, I solved it in front of everyone. And I just felt like a god, dude. I was like, yes. And they're all like, yeah, that's right. How'd you know that? And I was like, I don't know. Just did.
I'm just a serial killer.
Yeah. I just be like that.
Dude, we did a similar one in, I think it was middle school. Pretty sure it was middle school. But there were a couple short stories that our teacher had in a binder. And it was just like a puzzle
Like riddles.
exercise. And we had to figure out, how it all came to be. And I'll tell you the one that she told us, the one that stuck with me. And I'm telling it from memory from 15 years ago.
So I forgive you if it's not perfect.
Yeah. But a woman's dead body is found in the garage of her home. Officials come over after they catch wind of it. They investigate. They haven't found the murderer yet. They're questioning the husband, who says they're just getting home from a long road trip, visiting family out of town, just him and his baby. And the wife stayed home for whatever reason. So he wasn't there when she was murdered. And they're just asking him questions and going through all these different things. They're going throughout the garage and the house to see if they can find anything. And they're not getting any clues. And he seems to be telling the truth. And while they're interrogating him, he has his baby in his arms and he's bouncing the baby up and down. And they decide that they're done questioning him, but they want to take another look throughout the house. And they're like, can he show us around the house and take us to different parts? And he's like, yeah, sure. At that point, he has his brother come over just to be there with him and has his brother watch the baby while he takes him to the house. And they're still in the garage and it's just the baby on the hood of the car and just waiting for the husband to take them all throughout the house. They don't find anything. They leave. It was something along those lines. And I probably told it terribly, and we might take this off. You know it, huh?
The car wasn't hot.
Yeah.
When I was be driving.
When I was a kid, I was like, man, that's crazy. Like,
Because it was a Tesla. No. Because it was a Veyron Bugatti and the engine's in the back.
that'd be fun if we could find stuff like that.
Like riddles and stuff.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
and do it on here. That could, instead of questions,
I
that
love
could
riddles.
be something we cycle through.
Cool. Anyway.
That's fun. That's all I got for you guys.
Shout out Seth. You're the god, dude.
Shout out Olivia.
Shout out Diamonds.
Not shout out Kenneth.
Kenneth,
Yeah,
you trash dog.
F him,
You
dude.
nerd ass. You're lame.
You extra, bro. Murder in a murder mystery.
just ruin it for everyone.
Yeah.
Some sickos, though, were probably like,
Yo. Okay, I forgot to tell you this. All right, so one of the Friendsgivings I was at 2 months ago, one of my really good friends, Willow, she matched with a dude on Tinder. And she decided she's actually way funny, and she's not ditzy or dumb. I just think she's a hilarious person. So her pickup line to like everybody she was chatting with for like a month prior, because she's single, was, "Do you want to come to my Friendsgiving?" Which I guess could be safe because there's a lot of people there that she knows, so we could protect her if anything were to happen.
Yeah.
But one guy, and if you think about it from the other perspective, that's weird. It's like, I'm coming to your Friendsgiving. I don't even know you or your friends. So what is this supposed to be? And she's not trying to get serious. She's just thinks it's funny and wants a +1. Wants to fulfill that ticket. But she ends up finding someone. And he says yes.
oh, gosh.
Whoa.
So
Low key, I'd be pissed, though, if like one of y'all brought a randa to our Friendsgiving. I'd be like, who the
Who's this can do that this
tell
year?
us weirdo? No, bro. Tell us square to get out of here. Day oneers only, dog. But anyway.
we this Friendsgiving is at an Airbnb. Really extra. It's a nice big house on a golf course.
Plot is getting thicker.
Yeah.
This guy's turning on his Find My Friends.
So we invite him over, or she sends him the address, and just a little bit before it starts, I'm there all day cooking, cleaning the house, getting it ready with my girlfriend and a few others. We even have like his name tag like on the plate
Rando.
for him. Yeah, random. Yeah, so we're fully expecting him to come, and he shows up
Oh, gosh.
a little bit before it starts, but we start a little late from when we're supposed to. So he's there for like half an hour, 45 minutes, just chilling, talking. I end up making a connection with him because he lived in Hawaii for a few years, and we have a bunch of mutual friends.
That's weird.
Yeah, he's like 2 years older than me. And we're in the living room talking, and I think it's good because it's like, oh, we found a connection. So I can feel a little more comfortable when his date is trying to make a joke out of this.
He's friends of friends. So, like, you're good.
5 minutes before we start, he's already there for 30, 45 minutes. We don't find him anywhere.
Okay. Well, that's a problem.
It is a problem.
I don't like that.
Because we start, and one person says, I think I saw him on his phone and walk out the door. I think.
I'm going to be like, I'm going to need you to know.
So we look through the house. We can't find anything. This is a really nice house. One that we decide that after we're done with dinner, we're going to play Murder in the Dark, which we decided before he got there.
I would be out, dog. I'd be like, sorry. Like,
There's someone who's actually waiting to murder us in the dark.
We play.
did you check the crawl spaces?
We play.
And who
the
died?
whole time I'm thinking, this dude is dedicated. I am waiting for this man to come out. I'm waiting to punch somebody in the dark. And he's a pretty big dude, like my size, which is above average.
It's
And
definitely not Filipino or.
we don't find him. He's not there. He actually left. But it was also because his car was gone.
So you
And we found that in the beginning. But
you haven't seen Willow to this day.
shouts out Willow because that was pretty hilarious.
That's actually creepy though. Like
I wouldn't probably do that with someone because I'm thinking I'm going to get sacrificed probably.
yeah,
Like
you
you,
wouldn't
the
be the
Tinder?
rando.
Yeah. If I go and be the rando at someone else's Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving and they all know each other, they're all in on it. I don't know what's going on.
Wait, he left after realizing that you guys know mutual people. So he's like, the jig's up. Like they know who I am.
Well, our mutual friend
Do you know what I'm saying?
is
Yeah.
one of
He's no longer anonymous, so he's like, I can't pull off.
maybe yeah. Well, our mutual friend, one of our mutual friends, is one of my best friends.
So he's like, dang it, I
His
gotta go
name's
find another victim.
His name's Kalima. You guys remember him? The big dude.
That's my
He's
favorite
Hawaiian,
restaurant.
Maori. Anyway, I texted him the next day. I was like, "Yo, your homie came to our Friendsgiving yesterday and diffed on his date. What's up with that?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, we weren't super close, but he was kind of a nut, as he put it."
Did he say that
He
fool
was-
broke out of a mental institution or something?
I don't know. He said he recently got divorced and was going through it. So
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Never mind. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's still a little heavy.
sorry, dude. Sorry.
Back to the
rando.
Tinder though. Like if the girl's tagline is "Take me to abandoned places," what's your first thought?
I'll heal you, brother.
That's creepy. I don't know. I don't know. This is 3 a.m. after hours, by the way. Thank you for listening. Stick around if you want to hang out for 3 a.m. after hours. Anyway, continue.
The reason
I'm
I
not
asked,
gonna victim blame, but like,
it's I recently saw someone that had that
yeah,
and advised them to take that down.
I would be like, I wouldn't do that.
My dad would always tell me, you can't expect to go to the mud pit and not get muddy, or go to the pool and not get wet.
So Tinder's the mud pit.
I'm trying to get muddy.
You said that.
I mean, obviously, like, live your life, make your choices. If you want that to be a tagline, go for it. Personally, that's like asking for some trouble.
It's also a little
Like, I would
creepy.
never go to an abandoned place with someone I didn't know.
Yeah, first timer? No.
Yeah.
Hell no. I'm not trying to get murdered.
No thanks.
Like, I mean, anyone. Why would you do that?
I think we established a couple things. First episode of 2020. Well, first episode recorded in 2020.
Right.
We're gonna do riddles until people tell us it's annoying, or we should stop.
Okay.
We should book a murder mystery cruise.
Yes.
I
To
would-
Juneau, actually.
Hella do that, dog. But then I would be nervous the whole time that some idiot is actually gonna kill his wife on this thing.
Yeah.
And then 3, we should play crack the case. We'll be down
It's in my cart right now, bro.
Ooh, how much is it?
It's not cheap.
Really? We'll be down in Vegas in a couple weekends, and Seth has it.
Oh, let's play it.
Okay, let's do it.
Down, very down.
In the after hours segment, let's talk about growth of the podcast. Do you think people are interested in that?
I think so. If they, I don't know.
What do you mean?
Some
like,
people
what do
are
you mean?
so.
So we started this podcast last. Notice I said we.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I was just
Yes,
razzing,
comrade.
razzing your berries. We started this podcast like February last year. Didn't really
Put out our first episode in March.
We literally we didn't take it serious at all.
Yeah. We, in
That
fact,
first
it was so
episode.
not serious that we took down the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Because they were so low
Doo-doo
quality.
caca.
Yeah. Mainly because they were low quality. Like
we had one ratchet mic.
in the middle of 4 of us, and we were sitting on camp chairs.
That creaked as
and
we
Charlie's basement
Apartment.
kitchen
That was like 600
That-
square feet.
echoed.
It was smaller than like a large closet. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you could hear our camp chair squeaking.
You could hear my air
we
conditioning
moved.
like humming in the background half the time.
You can hear so much of the room noise.
All of us decided to talk over each other constantly.
We'd like to think we've gotten a little bit better from that.
Just a little bit, though.
But because of quality, we didn't think it was up to standard with what we wanted. Over time, as we've developed and progressed a bit, we decided to take that down. But some of the ways we've progressed, numbers, we're consistently getting above 3,000 downloads a month.
Closer to 4.
Mm-hmm. And
So that's individual people downloading and listening to our episodes.
122 of them in the Netherlands for some reason.
Yeah. So last night we all got together to kind of go over our growth and kind of look at. And so the website that we use to host our podcast shows us a map of where people are listening. And it was straight up shocking. Like where some random person in like all over Estonia.
I think 40 countries.
Yeah.
40 something countries are listening to us.
65 people in Australia.
Granted, it's like there are a few countries where it's just one listen, one download.
India.
Yeah.
India's one.
Which is funny because India, don't you have the most people?
Yeah. Dude, 1 out of a billion, though. That's like, we're doing all right.
Yeah, we getting there.
We have
Share
one
that
person
with a
in
friend,
China.
please.
It's probably Jordan.
Yeah. Number 2 country that listens to us most was surprisingly
Which one?
Netherlands.
I thought it was New Zealand.
It might be New Zealand.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because they were
That one was like
3 and
Okay. Netherlands
Netherlands
was
was
third.
Then
Yeah.
11. It's just, but it's so crazy to us. Our goal with starting the podcast was if we could get one random person who legitimately listened to this, like unironically,
and express like their happiness or appreciation for it, we'd be happy. That, and also we just wanted to document some of these stories for ourselves and for future family, children,
yeah,
and just to have fun as a group of friends because we've been friends for a long time.
we would do this regardless if we had a podcast. Like
Mhm.
we would sit, like we do.
We've done it. We've done this. We've been doing this. We just decided
Years.
to start putting a mic in front of our faces and putting it online for you guys. But
Anyway,
yeah, we have definitely received more than one person expressing their gratitude for our podcast. Some people have, a good handful of people have told us that they've been going through some of the roughest things, whether it's dealing with death in the family or depression, just different struggles in life. And they've come to us to listen to our podcast. And that's been one of the few lights in their life at those dark times.
and no flex, no brag. It's like, and a lot of them say the same thing. It feels like I'm a part of your friends, and I can say sincerely, and I'll speak for you too right now, but like you are a part of our friends. I don't know, like Autumn, I don't know. She's one of our earliest people who reached out to us and like expressed. You know what I'm saying? I legit consider her a friend in my life, is what I'm saying.
There's a handful of people that have reached out or even just engaged regularly, comments and DMs on our Instagram.
Lou,
We call them our day oneers, and we know who you are, so thank you. And I mean, obviously, at this point, we would like more people to listen, and we hope that this could catch on with more people, and we're working towards that.
what's your goal? Like, what's your end game for this podcast?
Money. I'll be honest, I want to make money off of this, but I want it to come out of us working hard and enjoying ourselves and people enjoying our content. Because, we've been putting a lot of hours into this and we're trying to put more into it. So it's only fair to want a little bit of a return on our investments.
It would just be an amazing thing to make something we love become our income.
I think everybody should be.
That's like our goal, I think.
that should be.
Well, I would actually
Most
like
people.
it to eventually become part Ghost Hunter and Man vs. Food, where we get to travel and document.
Dude, straight up. Like, okay, here's my realistic goal. We all do well enough. We have enough listeners that we're able to monetize and turn this into our income in our living. If not, just cover our bills. Which at this point, we've made $0 from this podcast.
Yep.
But like ultimately, like if I had everything, yeah, I want to go city to city and have contacts who set us up with urban legends, and we go test things out. We film, like that would be so fun. I'm with you, Sean. I want to buy a 3 a.m. van where we travel around the country, record our episodes in Savannah, Georgia, in Montana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On location. That would be dope.
And I think it'd be dope to do it with our listeners too.
Hell yeah.
Like, I don't know, if we're getting that much, it only makes sense to give back, whether it's by doing a tour and doing these shows live so people can be in the room with us or in the woods and listen in on these stories, or going to like travel to these places and find spooky stuff and just have fun and do it with not only us, the boys here in the podcast, but maybe even some of the listeners. So
Yeah. So if you're listening to this right now, share this with one friend. And if you share it with one friend, tell them to share it with one friend.
Yeah.
If they don't want to listen, tie them down and make them.
If you do want to support, we are trying to make ways, like we're making a Patreon. We're going to be coming out with our merch or like shirts you can buy soon. Or at the very least, like, subscribe, download, rate, review, or share with one friend. All of that stuff, no matter how big or small, goes a huge way, and we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we haven't made any money, but that's because we don't have any real avenues for people to support us monetarily. So we're working on that for real.
Yeah. But anyway, at the end of the day, like, if we don't make money from this, I'm okay with that.
The money is really like a perk because we've been having fun the past year doing this for free.
This has been one of my this is by far my favorite project I've ever embarked on in my life, and we've done a lot. Anyway, everyone out there, thank you so much. If you hung out for 3 a.m. after hours,
you real ones,
good on you. Bye, love you, be safe.
Trust your guy, watch your back.
Be careful out there.
Happy New Year.